us this evening. Yep. So to make it easier, because we have so many folks, could all of our Oregonians please wave? We have a lot of Oregonians joining from different places. And could we have our Canadian friends? It looks like we have friends joining us from both Alberta and from British Columbia. Greetings to John and to Terry from 2 different clubs. And we have friends joining us from Chile. Could we have our Chilean friends say hello? Thank you. And we have Dale joining us from Mexico. Dale, welcome back. And we have American friends joining us from other clubs. Could all of the other American Rotarians wave? Yes. Okay, thank you so much for being here with us. And we'll do a little bit more of an introduction in a bit.
Awesome. Looking down the table, we've got some guests in person. This is Jansen from Southtown. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for coming down. And I didn't get a chance to meet you. Oh, Mary Jean Jacobson, a former Rotary Club from 1987. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. Do I pass it back to you, Heather?
Okay, so we're doing a series of introductions since we're jointly hosting this very special evening with 3 different clubs, including our own. So, Madam President-elect, we know how busy you are, so it means a lot to all of us that you're here. So thank you. I'm sure you are jet-lagged wherever you are in the world on any given day. So tonight I'm going to pass the microphone to friends of our club, Rushton Hurley, in the Rotary Club of Silicon Valley, and Roberto Silva Perez, who is an honorary Metrotarian of this club, and they will be doing introductions. And a special thank you to Roberto for coordinating this event for us. Gentlemen, Rushton and Roberto, I pass the microphone to you. Rushton, you're muted.
No longer, though. Thank you very much, Heather. I am Rushton Hurley, the Charter President and current Programs Chair of the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, an online and asynchronous club of people with crazy schedules, but hearts for innovative service. Find us at rotary.cool. Our club is honored to be part of the Rotary Club of Eugene Metropolitan program tonight, and I'm proud to introduce tonight Tom Gump. Tom serves as aide to Rotary International President, 2024-2025. He has a very long list of roles through which he has served Rotary International, helping with the International Convention and International Assembly planning, the 2025 Presidential Peace Conference, and many more. He has founded, helped form, and/or inspired more than a dozen new and creative clubs worldwide, including forming the first club in the world to serve veterans and the first club in the world focused on ending human trafficking. Tom also formed a Rotary Community Corps for refugees, which serves hundreds of refugees in Minnesota in the United States. As a speaker and writer, Tom now inspires others to grow Rotary membership, regularly speaking on the topic of memberships at all levels of Rotary. His tips for attracting and retaining members and some of the clubs he has formed have been featured in various Rotary publications. The Rotary International Board of Directors awarded Tom its highest honor, the Service Above Self Award. Tom, it is great to have you, but I will hand the mic over to Roberto, who will introduce Madam President-elect Stephanie Urchick.
Thank you. Good night. Hello, everyone. I have the pleasure to present a member of Rotary Club of McMurray, Pennsylvania, USA. She has been an RI director and Rotary Foundation trustee. She has served RI in several different positions as a training leader, regional Rotary Foundation coordinator, and RI representative. She has also served as chair of the Rotary Strategic Planning Committee and the Rotary Foundation Centennial Celebration. She has a huge resume, traveling to Dominican Republic, Ukraine, through grants of the foundation, also working with clubs in Poland. She has been working with the Rotary clubs of Albania, Kosovo, Ukraine on humanitarian and educational services. what else can I say about her? Her background is higher education, consulting, and entertainment industries. There's no doubt that Rotary is magic. And as we are Rotarians from different countries, that's part of our magic, from different states of the US and different countries around the world. So as Rotary is magic, and as I said, Rotarians do magic, I'm going to have to use my wand because I brought it, and my background changed, and now I'm going to do magic, and I'm going to bring into Rotary Eugene Metro, Rotary International President-elect Stephanie. Stephanie, the floor is yours. Bye.
Oh, thank you, Roberto. That was simply irresistible. That was fantastic. I'm so excited and happy and honored to be with you tonight, and I appreciate the invitation. As I mentioned earlier when I got onto the call, this is the best part of the job of being president-elect of Rotary. It's meeting people around the Rotary world and getting to see how Rotary is done in different parts. So this is truly an international meeting tonight, and I'm so excited that you all have made some time to be with me. I want to just share a couple of thoughts about Rotary that are floating around in my head tonight, but I'm going to leave a lot of time for questions because you have a president-elect on this Zoom call with you, and I'm sure that you have a question or two that you might like to ask me. So let me begin maybe talking first of all about our theme for 24-25. Many people ask me, well, where did that come from, the magic of Rotary? Well, I'll tell you the story, but I think that you probably have a story just like it somewhere in your Rotary background. Years ago, I found myself in the Dominican Republic. We had traveled there from my district to help install water filters. And so I was in a Haitian home in the Dominican Republic, and there were two women, a grandmother and a mother, and three young boys. And so we put the filter together, and then to test it, we would put dirty water in one end and it would come out clean on the other. And I'll never forget the first time we stopped the water flow. And one of the little boys came over and he grabbed my sleeve and he said, lady, show me that magic again. Well, clearly the water filter wasn't magic. What was magic was the fact that we were creating lasting change for that family. That little boy could go back to school. He didn't have to worry about walking to find water. And we were providing clean water for a family that meant, that was the magic. That's what it was. And like I said, I'm sure all of you have stories like that because every time we do some kind of project in Rotary, whether it's in our community or around the globe, we are creating magic, and we're also creating magic in ourselves. Every time I do something for Rotary, it makes me feel good. I call that psychic income. That's what we get from being Rotarians. We get psychic income. Now, some of you may have heard that there's going to be a change in the theme, and that's correct. But some people were worried that there wouldn't be a theme anymore, and that's not correct. What's changing is instead of it being a presidential theme, it will be an annual theme. And what's changing is how it's being crafted. Up until this point, the president nominee was responsible for coming forward with ideas, and then the ideas had to be tested through a number of different lenses. First, it had to be tested in communication to make sure that it would translate in different languages around the world. Then it had to be tested through our legal department to make sure that there was no other entity using it and there were no trademarks. So there were a lot of tests that had to happen. Now, instead, there's a group of people who are going to be working together to create themes that have continuity and flow from our action plan. So every international assembly, the president-elect will still do a reveal, and announce the theme. There will still be ties. There will still be scarves. The only difference is that instead of it being called a presidential theme, it will be Rotary's annual theme. So I didn't want anybody to think that we're doing away with them, because the themes really serve as an inspiration for us. We have a motto, service above self, and that will never change. But the theme is an additional layer, an additional way for all of us to get excited about the work that we do in Rotary. One of the most exciting things for me as I look forward to our year together is the fact that we have a tool called the Action Plan that can help all of our Rotary clubs around the world become simply irresistible. The Action Plan has 4 parts. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard about it. Maybe some of you have even used it already in a club meeting, but it has four priorities, really. The Action Plan asks all of our clubs to take a look at ourselves and to answer questions like, how can we increase our impact? What are the things that we could do to make sure that the projects that we do really have the kind of impact that will get noticed? It also asks us to look at how can we expand our reach. You know, Rotary has changed. You think about it, for over 100 years, we had the same meeting model. We met 4 times a month. We rang a bell, we took attendance, we sang, and there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But in 2016, our Council on Legislation said, wait a minute, people have changed, the world has changed, and we need to change also. And that's the council that created new models for us for meetings. That's why we have eClubs, like the eClub of Silicon Valley. That's why we have passport clubs. That's why we have corporate clubs, impact clubs, all different kinds of satellites. So what we're saying is if people have the heart and the hands for service and they're the right kind of person, then there's a way for them to come into Rotary. So we need to look at expanding our reach and making sure that our Rotary clubs mirror our communities. So if your Rotary club looks like your community, you have a handle on the future. If it doesn't, you have a great opportunity, because that represents pockets for where you can look to expand and reach and try to bring those people into the magic of this organization. The third priority is the one that asks us to look at increasing the engagement of our people. You know, we, in general, around the world, bring in 150,000 new members every year. That's good news. The bad news is we lose 160,000 members every year. So we have a revolving door. We have got to work on retaining our members. It's no good to bring in 10 new members into your club if 15 are going to leave in that same year. So we really have to work on what are the things that we do to really engage people. And the secret here is finding out what people are expecting from Rotary. People come to Rotary for different reasons. Not everybody comes for service. Think about Paul Harris. When he founded Rotary in 1905, it was not to do service. It was because he was in a new town. He was in Chicago, and he didn't know anybody. And he said, well, here's a guy over here, and here's another one. You know what? Let's meet each week. We'll rotate. We'll go to your office, and then to yours, and then to yours, and we'll get to know one another. The service came a year and a half later, when they finally got together and put a toilet block in Chicago. But some people do hear that we are a service club, and they want to come in and change the world. And that's fantastic. They want to roll up their sleeves right away and get busy. Some look at us and say, look at all those business people. I bet if I were a member there, I could learn things that I could use in my career. I could learn about public speaking. I could learn about leadership. I could learn about project management, and that's all true. And others look at us, same thing. Look at all those business people. I bet if I were in that club, I have a business. Those people have a business. I bet I could network. Of course you can. Rotary's the original BNI. So people come for different reasons, but ultimately they stay for the service. So why is that important? Well, it's important because as people come into our clubs, we should get to know them. We should ask them those questions. What attracted you to our club? What are you expecting? What would you like to do? What could you tell us about yourself that we can't see in your application? Get to know your members, because then you can plan your speakers, your projects, your socials, and from time to time, you're going to hit on some things that are important to people, and they're not going to have that necessarily that desire to want to leave. They're going to say, wait a minute, I like it here. These people are my friends. I'm doing business here. I'm getting work done. I'm serving. So that's the third priority. And the fourth one is asking us to look at our ability to adapt and to make sure that we have the right governance in place and that we have continuity. Continuity means that your president right now should be working with the president-elect and should be working with the person, immediate past president, so that there's cohesion and so that your club's moving in the same direction. You know, think about Gordon McAnally, our current president. He woke us up last year and said, you know what? It's time that we pay attention to mental health and remove the stigma. Do you think we're going to throw that away just because he leaves office in July? Of course not. Where would we be if we did that with polio? I mean, we've been working on polio since the mid-'80s, and we're getting very close. Just in a little tiny pocket in Pakistan and Afghanistan, not even the whole country. It's at that border between the two countries. Ultimately, that's going to be gone because we had the perseverance to do that. Empowering girls, you know, Shaker gave that a name. We have been doing that for a long time, but he gave it a name. We're not going to abandon those programs just because people leave office. And the same thing's true in your Rotary Club. You should take a look at what are the things that we've been doing that really make sense. You should also look at the things that you've been doing for a long time that maybe have outgrown their usefulness. We want to make sure that we have the impact, and we have the continuity, and that we're willing to try things and to really move forward. My interest in the action plan really focuses on the two in the middle, expanding our reach and enhancing participant engagement. We have got to get a handle on growing membership. I love Rotary, just like you do. That's why you're on this call. If you didn't love Rotary, you'd be doing something different right now. We love Rotary, but if we don't have people who are going to come behind us to continue to do the magic of the organization, we're going to be in trouble. We do fabulous things. We promote peace. We eradicate polio. We provide clean water. But we've got to have people who are going to step up and want to do those things when we're no longer here. If you've been paying attention to membership trends for the past 20 years, like I have, you know that it doesn't look good. It's going in the wrong direction. We've got to turn that around. And that's what the action plan can help us do. So my message, I don't know how many of you read the February Rotarian, but my message to the world is we've got to make sure that Rotary is simply irresistible, so that the people who are the outsider looking in and saying, what are those people doing? They're having such a great time. They're doing wonderful things. I want to be a part of that. And the people who are with us are saying, I don't want to leave this. This is too fabulous. I want to be here. The second thing that's important as we look to 24-25 together is healing a divided world by using positive peace. And we have tools in Rotary to help us do that. One of them you started your meeting with, the four-way test. What a brilliant set of sentences. 4 dynamic sentences that are meant to model our behavior and our thoughts and our words. I say to Rotary clubs frequently, though, you need to make sure that you're living the four-way test and not just reciting it. Because if we would live the four-way test, we would have a much, much better world. You know, sometimes not in not in our North America so much, but sometimes in other places where I'm traveling, you know, there's bickering going on in clubs. And I'm thinking, good grief, if we can't have peace in our own clubs, how are we going to show the world that we're a peace building organization? So we've really got to work on making sure that the four-way test is something we live. We have a positive peace activator program, which is an online program that anybody can engage in. And after you complete it, you learn how to be a positive peace activator in your own community. We have a project called the Peace Pole Project, where clubs around the world can erect a peace pole in their community, in a park, on a school campus, anywhere where it's visible. That's what I love about it. It's a visible representation that says Rotary is about peace building. And on the pole itself, it says, "May peace prevail on earth," in the languages that represent your communities. And the new ones have QR codes. And so they're not expensive. There are lots of vendors that make them, but you can also get your local vocational technical school. If you have students who are, you know, creative, you can get students to do it. But the best part of the Peace Pole Project is that clubs can then ask other groups in the community to use that location for any activity that promotes harmony or peace, like choir concerts or award ceremonies or anything like that. And then finally, we have this amazing Rotary Peace Center program. We have 6 peace centers around the globe, and we're about to have a 7th in Turkey, in Istanbul. In February of 2025, we'll be celebrating the first class that will arrive there. And these peace centers have programs that help people understand and learn about peace and conflict resolution. And we've had more than 1,800 graduates. And these graduates go back to their communities and they take what they've learned and they either use it with employment and with NGOs or other kinds of agencies or in their own career field. You know, one of the Peace Fellows that I worked with for a long time was a young man from Lagos, Nigeria. And he was a police officer. And when he went through the short-term program in Thailand, he went back to Lagos to work on child soldiering. I mean, it's just an incredible way for people to take a look at how to help build peace in communities. So those are opportunities that we have as Rotarians. And, you know, sometimes people will say, well, what good is that? I mean, you know, we're going to help a couple of people, or, you know, we're not going to get the Nobel Peace Prize for doing, you know, peace projects or peace polls or having a 4-way test speech contest with our Interact Club. Well, that's not going to help. Yes, it is. It's very much like the starfish story. You know that story about the young boy who's walking along the beach and he sees all these starfish that have washed up and the sun's coming out and it's getting hot. So he goes over and he picks one up and he throws it back into the ocean. And a man sees him and says, "What are you doing? You're crazy. You're never going to be able to help. Look at all those starfish. There's millions of them." And the little boy picks one up and he says, "I'm helping this one," and throws it in. And that's the same way we need to approach healing a divided world. It's going to be one person, one community, one country, whatever we can do. Think about our youth exchange program. There's a program where we're building peace one student at a time. Those students go out and they represent our countries and they interact with other families, other students, other teachers, other Rotarians in those communities. So, you know, we have tools in Rotary, and I hope that we can focus on them and learn more about how we can be peace activators and show the world that we are positive peace builders. I already mentioned continuity and how important that is. for us so that we, stay in the lane and keep moving in the same direction. The final thing I want to say before I ask you if you have any questions has to do with the fact that we talk to ourselves too much. Look at this call. Everybody here knows what Rotary is. It's the people who are walking outside your building, on the street, outside you. Those are the people who don't know what Rotary is. We need to do a better job of looking for public-facing events where we can share the message of Rotary. One of the things I love to do is to talk to non-Rotarian audiences, because I get to say to them, Rotary has changed, because despite all the PR and all the things that we do, there's still a perception in the world that we are Romeo, rich old men eating out. Look at us. That is not who we are at all. All right. So I get to say to people, we've changed. We're different. We have, I mentioned we have the CO, we have new meeting models. We have some clubs that don't meet at all. They're just people who go out and serve. We have passport. We're very different. And when I say that, people look at me with a different lens. They're like, oh, okay, maybe I want to listen to this. So when I've had opportunities to speak to non-Rotary audiences, I have always come away with at least one or more people who want to learn more about Rotary. So we need to get really good at talking about public-facing events and getting our message out. So I'm going to stop there because it looks like we're at the half-hour mark, and I just want to maybe open it up. And I'm not sure how we're going to handle questions, but
I've got a request about that, folks. If you are here in person and would like to share a question, please come here so you can be face to face with our camera. And we'll use the microphone, and when you speak in it, it's directional. So this top of it faces the mouth. And then if you're online, if you would put your questions into the chat, and I'll read them, screen and read them to Stephanie.
Perfect, Brian, perfect.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, question.
We've got an online question. I really like this one. Thank you, Rushton, for this. What is the most promising innovation we can bring to Rotary in the near future?
Well, you know what? Each of us and each of our Rotary clubs has the magic inside us. So I think there are all kinds of ways that we can look at answering that question. One that comes to mind that I've had conversations with Rotarians in Serbia, of all places, is about artificial intelligence. Now, I'll be honest with you, artificial intelligence, it scares the crap out of me. I don't know a thing about that. I mean, I'm not from that generation. However, our young professionals, our Rotaractors, our interactors, they're the ones who are going to learn how to harness the power, the good part of AI, and use it for the betterment of Rotary. That's just one example. I think there are lots of different ways that we can be creative. I was talking with somebody online yesterday, and he was talking about, well, we're thinking outside the box. And I ended up saying to him, throw the damn box away. Forget about the box. Try anything. You know your community. You know your Rotary Club. You know your area better than anybody, in Rotary leadership. So the things that you should try and the things that you can try. And it's like that Thomas Edison story. Try it. If it doesn't work, well, then you just found one way that doesn't work and you move on to something else.
Stephanie, that was great. I was asked to share about AI. We had a blue badge ceremony to do here at the Davis for a new member, two new members. And I didn't know this was coming, and I had to make the speech. What is the blue badge speech? Well, I asked my favorite chat bot. And I told the club, I'm reading what the AI generated here, and people were feeling like moved, like uplifted. Our district governor was in there. She said, Brian, where did you get that? I need a copy of that. That is the best blue badge speech I've ever heard. which they say, thank you, Bing. Now called Copilot, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Folks in person, I do encourage you to step right up. We do have some questions in the chat, though. Interesting one here from Cal. Regarding Rotary's strategic partnership with Peace Corps, what can clubs do to support Peace Corps volunteers before and during their overseas assignments? And how can we attract more of these individuals to Rotary and Rotaract as they return from their international volunteer service?
Well, you know, I was intrigued by your sixth question on the four-way test. Who is Rotary? Okay, I'm looking at Rotary. I'm looking at everybody. You're Rotary. So the answer to that question really is a local one. You know, again, you know your areas better. You know what organizations are in your area. You know what companies are around. So I think the answer to that is really a local one. As is so much of Rotary. You know, sometimes I get dismayed, you know, people will come up to me and they'll say, when is Rotary going to do X, Y, Z? And I have to say, you're Rotary. You're Rotary. I mean, why are you waiting for, you know, a building in Evanston to do something? You have the power. The magic of Rotary happens at the club. It doesn't happen where I sit on the 18th floor in Evanston. It happens where you guys are, because it's your on ingenuity, your creativity, your ideas, your passion that moves things forward. That's where projects are born at the club. So the answer is really a local one, Brian.
Stephanie, that was awesome. I'd like to offer you an international computer-based fist bump. Thank you.
Hi, Stephanie. My name is Chris Hazen, and I've been with Rotary for just a couple of years. And in my professional lifetime, global economic relationships have changed dramatically. When I started working, you know, the U.S. was and European countries were so economically dominant, and that's not the case anymore. And the culture and the economics of giving has changed a lot as well in that time. And I recently read a survey about, I forget the organization that put it on, you might have seen it, ranking the 10 most giving countries in the world. And the leading giving country in the world was ranked as Indonesia, which is neither North American or European. And I just wonder, from your perspective, how do you see those sort of changing global economic relations affecting the way that international projects are managed through Rotary International?
Well, first of all, in terms of the Rotary Foundation and giving, the United States is listed as the top giver, followed by, and it changes from year to year, sometimes India, sometimes Korea, but the United States is generally at the top for the Rotary Foundation. So keep in mind that we are not a political organization. We are a humanitarian organization. We have the DNA that says we want to make the world better. So what we do in terms of the magic is that we look for ways to make the world better for people. How do we create lasting change in people's lives? And we do that through our 7 areas of focus. You know, our newest one, the environment, is the one that's grabbing young people. We have more and more and more clubs, cause-based clubs forming around protecting the environment, which is great, which, you know, I absolutely love. But we're not a political organization. So we do what we can in the realm of our humanitarian nature. So I agree with you. You know, the world is changing. Next Rotary year, there will be 7 hot elections around the world. Hot meaning, you know, it'll be a contest and there'll be, you know, chaos or whatever. But that can't affect us. I mean, it shouldn't affect us, let's put it that way, because at our core, we are humanitarians, and that's what we stand for. We're a service organization. We're a membership organization that does service. That's who we are. So that may not be the answer that you're looking for, but that's the answer that's at the top of my head.
Hello, Jansen here.
Hi.
My question has to do with Rotaract and
Mhm.
our interaction with that group and what's being done perhaps at the national level to engage that relationship and help stimulate it more, because some of those people, quite honestly, are amazing when you get to meet them, and how we can grow that. Your thoughts?
Yes, and I absolutely agree with you. You know, I have this conversation frequently with Rotarians and with Rotaractors. All right, and here's what we have to do. As Rotarians, we have to recognize just what you said, Jansen, that these are creative, intelligent, passionate people who can help with what we do in our humanitarian arena. I get really tired when I hear people say, oh yeah, we had our Rotaractors park cars for us at our event. Are you kidding me? Park cars? They should be involved in some meaningful planning of the event. And I often hear Rotarians say, oh, what do those Rotaractors know? They're wet around the ears, okay? And then I hear Rotaractors who say, oh, we don't want to work with those Rotarians. They're old fuddy-duddies. They don't know anything about technology. Listen, folks, if we can't get the two groups closer together, then we're not going to make any progress at all. And so we need movement on both sides, all right? And the messaging that I share with both sides is you really have to understand the other group. There's a concept called reverse mentoring, all right? I know a lot of stuff because I've been in business and, you know, I'm not a kid anymore. I've lived a lot. I know a lot of stuff that I can help share with a Rotaractor. But when I look at a Rotaractor, I realize that person knows a lot that I don't know. They know so much more about technology. Oh my God, I was in 10th grade before I even touched a computer, and it was as big as my living room. All right. And young people today are digital natives. They can teach us so much. So reverse mentoring is really what I like to stress. And I think that's the way that we're going to get the groups closer together.
Thank you. Be well.
Sure.
Thank you, Jansen.
Madam President-elect, we have a question from Lisa in Silicon Valley. Why doesn't RI advertise, billboards, radio ads, tell the community what we are doing? Do they want to join us, etc.?
Well, I think in some places they do that, Heather. I know when I was in Western Pennsylvania, we had billboards all over the place. They didn't come from Rotary. They came from us locally. Again, it's in our hands to take advantage of what we do. The communication that comes from Rotary International is limited to our Rotary magazine, our social media outlets, you know, things that are within our control. Now, let me remind you all, we are a dues-driven organization. When we have more members, we have more dues. And the dues are what we use to operate. When we have less members, we have less dues, and we have less money to operate. You heard me earlier, the past 22 years, it's been going in the wrong direction. We simply don't have the kinds of operational funds that we would need to have to do some of the unique things that as a corporate entity we could do. That's why a lot of stuff happens locally, because local Rotarians are saying, wait a minute, we can do that. Let's do that. We have this, we can do this. So in my area, I'm from Western Pennsylvania, we had clubs in our district that went together and we put billboards up all over the place. So it's really, at this point, it's up to local clubs to think, how do we get the messaging out? Social media is great. Regular media is great. All of that is great, but I just read an interesting story And I don't know if you've seen these things, but they're, maybe if you were watching the Super Bowl, you saw one. They have these globes, these great big huge globes. All right. And the reason they put those globes together was because they were noticing in places like Times Square, with all that advertising, all those billboards, that people were not looking at them because they were looking at their phones. So what they did was put these spheres in these places. Tom and I saw one in Taiwan. I think it was Taiwan, or was it the Philippines? Where was that, Tom?
It was the Philippines.
It was the Philippines, yeah. And you know, the whole idea is that they're so gigantic and enormous that you can't help but stop and look at them. Okay, but so we have to get to the point where we can afford to do the things like that will make sense. But now it's got to be local. It's got to be where we are. I still say the best advertising is word of mouth. I just put a post up the other day about the latest person that I brought into Rotary, and I challenged everybody reading that. It was in a group to tell me about how they're doing. And you know what? 24 hours went by and not a single person put anything in there that they brought a new member into Rotary. That made me really sad, because I can't be the only one. There's 1.4 million of us. I mean, we all have to be spreading the idea about who we are. So that's a long-winded answer to your original question, but that's where it is.
One more question.
So we have one last question, if that's all right, from our friends doing a watch party in Newport.
Okay.
Two questions, if we could keep it brief. Where did the Newport question go? I am excited by your discussion of peace polls. Is there a size requirement? I am thinking of a desktop award size peace poll for speakers or annual celebrations.
There are all kinds of sizes. I was recently at a peace poll installation in my own area in Western Pennsylvania, and the peace pole was 12 feet high. Then I was at another one and it was 8 feet. So they really are different. It depends on where you're installing them, how much the club wants to spend, but they all have the basic principle that they say, may peace prevail on earth, and they have it in different languages. So it really depends on your location and what you want to do. There are some desktop ones. I have one in my office, but that's limited to the people that come into my office. I much prefer the ones that are outside, because everybody that passes that location takes a look at it.
Go right ahead, Jim. If you'll come up close. So
my question is, how do we reverse these trends? We know that the better people do, the less charitable they become. And we're seeing that our younger generations are not very charitable. The most generous people in our society are the poor and the working class, because they are closer to the problems. I mean, how do we, convince people that their real legacy is not how much they pile up, but how much they give?
Well, that's an interesting thought and an interesting perspective. And in my mind, people do Rotary in a number of ways. I talk to clubs all the time who are saying, well, we've got a bunch of people in our club, these gals and guys, they're over the age of 80 and all they do is write checks. Well, you know what? That's the contribution they can make. They're not going to go up and pick garbage off of a highway at the age of 80. But if they want to write a check to help support something that you're doing, that's their contribution. On the flip side, if you got a younger member who's 25 or 30, has a mortgage, has 3 kids, that person may not be able to come up with the check, but might say, hey, you know, I can be there on Saturday morning and I can pick up garbage on the road. I can do that. That's fine, you know, and we're going to go out and have pizza afterwards. Yeah, I can do that. So there's a place for everybody in terms of what it takes to make magic happen. Tom, you want to jump in on this one? Because I know you've talked about this too.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think what we need to do is we need to ask our members what they want. Let's face it, if we have a culture where we're providing them value, they're going to be happy, they're going to stay, they're going to bring in more people. So how do we know what they want? It's simple. We just have to do a survey. So, you know, Rotary International says we should do a survey once a year. Why is that? Because we always have people leaving and we always have people coming. So after a year, the culture has changed. Now, Stephanie and I have opinions on this. There are 7 different assessment tools that Rotary International has. We prefer doing assessments when people come in, and we don't really necessarily like exit interviews. Because exit interviews, you know, Rotarians are nice people and they might not give you the honest answer why they're leaving. And even if they did, we don't have time to correct it before they leave. We can't make a substantive change that quickly. So we like asking them what they want when they come in and then doing it once a year.
Yeah, Tom's being nice. I always say exit interviews are stupid because people have already made up their mind that they're leaving. That's a stupid time to talk to them. So Tom's being nice.
Stephanie, thank you so much. I'm going to do a quick share screen and just show you a little visual representation of the appreciation we have
That's
for
great.
you showing up tonight. And Tom, thank you so much for giving your time and your perspective. It has been wonderful to hear from you and to meet you.
Well, we thank you again for the invitation. It's so much fun to do this, and I'm just delighted that you invited us. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie. Amigos in the cyber world, we have some club business that we're going to turn our attention to here at the Davis. I guess you're welcome to hang around, but I'll just say aloha, and it's been nice to see you tonight.